Welcome to my channel and this time-lapse of a Mastercopy in soft pastel. This is the Milkmaid painted by Johannes Vermeer in the year around 1658. It measures about 46 centimeters by 41 centimeters and mine is a little bit smaller. I went 45 centimeters by 41 centimeters. No real reason, just it's what the paper that I had lying around. So I'm painting on Pastelmat in the Sienna colorway. I'll leave a link in the description below. Most of my information about Vermeer, and there's a little bit of his life, is coming from a book by Karl Schutz, and I'll also leave a link in that down in the description below if you were interested to check that out. It's got beautiful images, the quality of the photographs of the paintings, and he also does close-ups, is really lovely. So I would highly recommend that book. So a little bit about Vermeer is we don't have an exact date for when he was born, but there is a date for when he was baptized, and that is the 31st of October 1632 in the Reformed Church in Delft. He also died in Delft at the age of 43, 3 years after the war with France. So Vermeer was alive around the same time as Rembrandt, but Rembrandt was really well known in also at the time as well as in the centuries to come. And Vermeer, on the other hand, was not as known. It seems like he was very known in just Delft, but not really any evidence of him being popular anywhere else, really. But he was rediscovered in the year 1860 by Etienne Joseph de Thoré. Forgive my French, he was a Frenchman and my French is terrible. But you can Google it and have a look for yourselves. There are believed to be about 35 known pieces that Vermeer produced. Some historians would say 37, but two of them there is arguments, or shall we say discussions, about whether they really were Vermeer's paintings or not. He was married to Catharina Bolnes, who was Catholic, so it's believed that that Vermeer actually converted to Catholicism, which was quite unusual during the time because it seems things were going the other way. People were converting from Catholicism to the Protestant faith. Oh, getting all tongue-tied here. Anyway, so there's evidence that she gave birth to 15 children, but 4 of them were buried before they were baptized. So they lived in a household in Delft that belonged to Catharina Bolz's mother. So you had Vermeer, his wife, his mother-in-law, and his 11 children living in this home, as well as a servant or 2. And that's what really gets me. If you look at Vermeer's paintings, they are just so still, and there's an essence of calm and quiet, yet where he actually painted, I just don't see how it could be still and quiet. I mean, 11 children, it would have been a really busy house. But that's what just absolutely amazes me about his work, and one of the reasons why I chose to do the Milkmaid as my first Mastercopy. This is the first Mastercopy I've ever attempted to do, is because I love the lighting in this piece, and I also love how I feel like a little fly on the wall, and that I'm just looking in to the scene as if I'm right there in the 1600s in Holland. It's like time has stopped and I'm taking a little peek in. And I also love how this is a working kitchen maid. So it's called the Milkmaid. I believe I did read that he didn't, as in Vermeer didn't necessarily call this painting the Milkmaid. That's kind of what it's become to be known as. But she's actually a kitchen maid. And I just love how he painted this little moment where the kitchen maid, possibly his own servant, Tanneke Everpool, there's no evidence or way of knowing that, but we can presume, or historians have presumed, because Vermeer wasn't wealthy in his lifetime, he didn't have money for models, so we presumed he used his own servants. So it's just a presumption really that this would have been his servant, and we have a name for her, Tanika Averpool. This may be her, or it may not. We just don't know, but isn't that exciting? I just love it. I love everything about it. Anyway, there was a auction in Amsterdam in 1696, and the milkmaid sold for 175 florins, which is the equivalent today of about 3,550 US dollars. So on this piece I've used a range of different soft pastel brands. I've used a lot of Unison, and I've used a lot of Sennelier. I'll leave the links in the description below. The Sennelier set was the portrait set, the half stick set, and I used also a 30 half stick set, and the colors were absolutely perfect. I'm also using a little bit of Blue Earth pastels, and as you can see I'm using a bit of pastel pencils. That color I'm putting is a Prussian blue from the Sennelier half stick set, and I'm using an intense blue number 463 from Sennelier. In this is some little Delft tiles in the back there, and this box you see is called a foot warmer. And what you do is you put some coals, there's a little clay pot inside, you put some coals in there, there's some air holes on the top, and you put it under your skirt and it will warm you up. So yeah. Then also on her skirt he would have used ultramarine, which was made from crushed lapis lazuli, which is a stone that you can get in Afghanistan, and it was very, very expensive. And through looking at x-rays of his work today, you can tell what pigments he actually used. And he definitely did use the most expensive pigment, as in the ultramarine blue, that you could get at the time. Other artists were using azurite. And then on her, that ochre chamois, it would have been leather, and he would have used lead tin yellow. So I was using a lot of ochre colors to get the same effect. This is called a Dutch oven that I'm painting now, and I absolutely loved this part of the painting. The actual jug where the milk is and that milk pouring into the Dutch oven for me was the creme de la creme. I can't even really explain why. I just absolutely loved creating that part. And I love how, yeah, we think she's probably making something called a bread pudding. You know, nothing would go to waste in this time. They were quite frugal and would make sure that every little scrap gets used up. So a great way to do that with your old stale bread is to make bread pudding. I also used a few pastel pencils and some hard pastels, the Creta Colour browns. It's a set of eight pastels, and I'll leave a link in the description below. So on the bread you can actually see lots of little dots, and that's how Vermeer created this illusion of dimension and made it look so lifelike. So I've also added little dots. So I am happy with the way this piece turned out, except for, as I mentioned, her face. If you are interested to see this in full time, there are 10 parts to the series, and you can check that out on my Patreon channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. It was such a privilege to be able to paint this piece, and again it just reiterated what a master Vermeer really was. I mean, his light is just incredible. The textures he creates is just incredible, and this was a challenge, but I am really glad that I took the challenge up. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.